Hello, everyone. I'm Michele DeLuca, and this is Nancy Proulx. We are the Power Portal. The point of our podcast is to talk about ways that we can enhance our own power. Right, Nance?
Yeah.
Yes.
The journey inward, journey to the self.
Journey to the Self. Nancy is an intuitive counselor trained in a 5-year program by Carolyn Mays, the acclaimed medical intuitive and author and spiritual philosopher. And I am a journalist with a long history of researching near-death experiences, out-of-body consciousness. I've written a book about intuition and my own personal experiences, and a novel about the same. So good. Nancy, let's talk just a little bit about your background. Nancy is also an animal intuitive and equestrian, yes. And for a long period, just want to put in the fact that while you have, for a long period, worked healing animals with your intuition, especially horses, and using those tools to help heal humans, you're devoting a lot of your time now to teaching humans how to tap into their own power from the lessons that you've learned from the animals. Did I phrase that correctly?
Correct. Mainly, the horses were the catalyst to bring you through the inner world because they're a prey animal. So they have that reaction of either fight, flight, or freeze. Same thing that us humans.
Flight or freeze.
Yeah.
I personally understand that.
But there's another way to channel energy, and we as humans, because we're self-aware, they have not only helped me develop the sensitivity to energy, but the ability to read energy and watch how specifically horses interact, because they know that if one is going to survive, the whole needs to survive. So the communication
that is deeply profound.
Yeah, it's very
for our planet
specific
today. Very specific.
Yeah, and if you don't understand energy, it would put the herd at a place of vulnerability. So it was just a way to, a gift actually that came into my life that has always been there. Never realized it would be the horses that would be the wisdom teachers.
Teaching you how to feel the frequencies and the energy in your body and how to use it to your advantage as a human.
Correct.
It's
know when we're
profound.
triggered. Also, so
Yes.
it's a self-awareness tool that the horses, because in order to be around horses, you have to be fully in your body and self-aware.
And we've done some exercises together in your barn where you showed me and demonstrated how that works, where none of it's about riding the horse. It's really about being present, standing next to the horse. And if you are not standing in your truth, the horse will indicate that in some way by perhaps moving away from you, or what other behaviors does a horse respond with when the horse feels you're not standing in your truth?
Well, each horse is an individual, first of all, just like each human is an individual. And a lot of times we may choose the horse that has the lesson that we need to learn. So say you are somebody who maybe it doesn't have a lot of focus, it's hard to stay in the present moment. I would actually put you out with a horse that has either, first of all, that's for grounding presence, to teach you how to be grounded. And you know how you would feel much more comfortable around a grounded person versus
Absolutely.
It would be harder to stay present, solid in your body if you were around somebody who was maybe flighty or had extreme, extreme ADHD. But we would influence the horse. So if I put a flighty person with a flighty horse, the horse tends to magnify it.
That makes perfect sense. So, and also the horse tends to respond in a positive way when you are standing in your truth. And I want to point out, we're going to do some exercises at the end of this podcast, just so you can get a sense of what we're saying, how to begin the work of being present and standing in your power. But I also want to add, this work is so important and profound. Nancy has used it to heal veterans suffering from PTSD.
Yeah, that the horses bring you to the present moment. They're asking you to be in your body, and not that we have to be perfect and have everything healed, but the breath work, the exercises of self-awareness of the environment, that's just where we start. And that will calm the horse, or get the horse to connect with you. And it's a visual, so it's nice because it's almost like a biofeedback in front of the horse. But we can become
horses are stupendous if
Yeah.
you love them, and
Yeah.
and if you can learn to be present next to a horse, you've really tapped into it. Especially if you're feeling fear near the horse and you can be present in that. That's also profound lessons that you can teach a fellow human, correct?
Correct. And what, my goal is that I feel as now I have that sensitivity that the horses have taught me, that I become the horse now. And everybody has the ability to, of course, not be as sensitive as a horse because they're wired a little differently, but to increase our ability to sense our environment, read our environment, and influence our environment.
That's what we're going to hone in on today. We're going to learn to sense our environment, read our environment, and use it perhaps to influence our environment, use our internal wisdom and power to influence the environment around us. Have I got that correct?
Right.
Good. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that right now, because what we wanted to do today was to start from a place of empowerment and centeredness, and we want to talk about how we humans can get to that place, right?
Yeah, and it's a practice. It's something that that learning to feel into the self and connect with the self is different. There's a different feel to it than the voice in the head or the voice of the ego, whatever you want to call it.
We all have those voices in our heads, and I think the greatest step towards power is to learn to quiet them.
Right.
And so this process that you're going to be teaching helps us to do that?
Yeah, all of the exercises that I go through and that I work with individuals with are meant to bring us closer and closer in a more intimate relationship with ourself, with the self. Okay, and the ego has a voice of fear. It has a voice of lack. It has a voice of scarcity. Yes, it's there to help us, but the voice of the heart, of the spirit, of our intuition, it has a feeling of peace. It has a feeling of empowerment, of positivity.
So I'll be the ego, and I'm going to say what I believe is in most of our heads today is, if you look at the consciousness surrounding the world these days, oh my God, what are we going to do? This is horrible. The world is coming to an end. How am I going to cope? I'm so afraid. I don't know what to do. I should know what to do. How terrible is it that I don't know what to do? I'm a terrible person. And then that's what a lot of us hear in our heads. Some version of that. That's probably exaggerated, because I want to be very clear that the voice of the ego is not the voice of peace. So what is the voice of peace that we are seeking that typically comes from our hearts?
Yes, the heart is what interprets energy. Okay, so when I talk about getting in touch with the heart and that higher, more higher self, I guess I would call it.
The inner wisdom.
The inner wisdom.
Perhaps even guidance from an aspect of yourself which is more divine.
And I think a lot of people are afraid of that.
Yes.
Okay, so we want to jump out of our bodies and go to the head. Versus, you think if the same way a horse interprets energy, okay, if there's a higher power, which I believe there's a higher power,
As
okay,
do I.
does not speak in English. It's energy. It's the voice of learning to interpret energy. It comes in through the body. It's dropping the mind to the heart to put words to it.
Now, try and imagine, for those of you who are listening and kind of wondering how that would feel, someone walks into the room, as you mentioned earlier, maybe someone, let's say not scattered, because we can all pick that out, but someone who's just angry about something, perhaps at you or something else. And your head goes, well, why would that person be mad at me? We've had a really great relationship. I can't understand what's going on. And your ego goes, oh my God, it must be something I did, and that person now hates me, and oh my God, what am I going to do? And if it's someone you work with, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to lose my friends, or silence all of that if you can, and that's what we are here to teach and to learn. And then what? Let's describe what you would do in a situation like that.
I would notice, be self-aware that the mind has taken over. Okay, that the ego, and you can actually feel your energy up in your head if you pay attention to that.
Yes, if you feel it, I can feel the energy of all of those things I just said. That's a lot of angry, unhappy, and fearful words in my head.
And you look at, what is the ego? It's only, trying to keep us safe, but it's encouraging fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah, run for your life, mostly,
right? Well, and some people would, some people would fight, and some people would just freeze. They wouldn't know what to say.
Like the horses, right?
Yeah. And instead, we can take that awareness with breath, with practice of bringing yourself down and feeling. I almost feel as I am looking through my body that my eyes are not here, that my eyes are here.
Wow, that's an interesting image, and that's helpful to me because we've talked about feeling and seeing with your heart. And I do live in my head. You know, I'm a journalist first and a writer, and so my head's like, well, if you wrote about that, and there's always a conversation going in my head, which makes it hard for me and probably a lot of people, no matter what work you do, whether you're a mother or a student or a corporate agent, doesn't matter. We all live up there. It's safe up there because we know we can figure out what to do next if we stay up there. But then if we haven't controlled our minds, they do go a little crazy with fear or flight or freezing. So
you could also just put your hand here.
Okay, tell me more about that.
And breathe.
Yeah, that's helpful. Because your heart, when you think of where your heart is, I always think of it's here. And so this is our solar plexus. And what does that do? What does that movement do?
The solar plexus is another center that is highly sensitive. And they've been able to measure this through the Heart Math Institute. Our heart is like 66 times stronger than the brain at not only receiving but interpreting and sending out energy. And the solar plexus is another power center that is extremely sensitive. It has more neurocells in our gut than our entire brain and spinal cord.
Well, that feels right.
Yeah, so these two areas are what we've lost touch with.
Right. And those are our instinctual, those are our gut feelings and our intuition and all the good things that guide us through life that are as close to truth as we can get as humans, I think. Did I phrase that right in your opinion?
And it's a place of just bringing yourself to awareness. If your head is, your ego's involved. If your mind is going around and around and around and around, the ego's involved and you're in your head. Yes. And coming down here and training that place, training that ability to stay there, to quiet, to slow the nervous system down, to drop your awareness to the heart and to the gut. And it's not that we're giving up the mind. What we want to do is once we're there, and we can breathe, then we want to interpret, oh, wow, I walked into this room and there was a really angry person. And we can have more awareness of, wow, this might not even be about me.
But the breathing takes you to that place, doesn't it? And because it calms everything. I think we instinctually, when we're not all worked up about ourselves, I think that we can, if we're gentle and peaceful, we can kind of feel the information coming in. But when our egos freak out, it shuts everything down.
And in the beginning, you need more than just the sacred pause. You may need to leave and reassess it in a quiet space.
So you say, excuse me, just going to run to the ladies' room.
Yes.
We'll continue this in a minute.
Exactly.
Or the men's room, depending on,
right.
Or any room.
Until you develop enough self-awareness on your own reaction, where you can stay present enough to express what you need to express, your own truth, but through your heart.
That's beautiful. So let's just say you've done this. So you're standing in a room with a person you feel is angry, and you're pretty expert at this. So you've breathed, you've symbolically put your hand on your heart or your gut, whether or not you actually have. But you've centered yourself, and now you're not thinking with your head, you're thinking with your heart. What are the kinds of words in your experience arise when you're dealing with a person who's like that, and you've come to the wisdom that it might not be about you?
Well, there's a couple things that your body may say. This is not about me.
That's very helpful and direct and to the point.
Yeah,
this is not about me.
And not that you have to say this to somebody, but it may not. May not.
But it's
be
helpful
about
to
them.
know that, because here's your face when you think that person is coming at you, and then here's your face if you know it's not about you, and you just look into the eyes of that other human and kind of wait to see what your physical response is.
And it may not be appropriate to say something at that moment. It may be appropriate, and this is what your body can tell you. This is not, I know this personality of this person, this is not the appropriate time. But maybe when we sit down and we're having dinner, if it was like a husband or something, we're having dinner and say, yeah, what's going on with you? You're really reactive. I know it wasn't about me. Is there anything that I can help you with, or anything you just want to voice or
talk about?
Right. So it is
and
that
in the case of the angry person, perhaps at work, you may never have to say a word to that person, because we both know that if you change the inner attitude, if you reach more towards a centered peacefulness, you may never have to address that person with words, but they will understand something has shifted in your relationship. Perhaps if the relationship is rocky or uncertain, when you are peaceful and centered, I know from experience that something can shift and likely may shift.
In you too. First.
First in you, but secondly in the person.
And the other person.
But it may not, but it won't matter, because something has shifted in you, and so you have reached what we like to call your power portal. Right?
And one of the explanations around that is if you feel like you need to fix the other person and they're angry.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Then you're going to have Velcro in you. Or if you're defensive and you think that, oh, I'm being victimized, it works like Velcro. It stays.
It sticks to you.
Yes.
That's interesting, because
it goes through you.
Because the first instinct is often to fix. Oh, calm down. Now let's talk about this problem. And if you're doing that from your head, there's a good chance you won't be as successful as you might be if you're doing it from your heart or your gut instincts. Can we talk about exercises that people can do to begin to come to this place where they might be able to address these kinds of issues in our lives? Because it's very important to be able to know when you are safe and to understand a situation so that you can create safety if you are not. So is it too soon? Is there something you'd like to add?
No, that's beautiful, because I love your wording on safety. And safety is being in the body. That's your safe place.
Yes, because no matter what's happening to you, if you are in your head going, oh my God, oh no, or even, I can do this, I can beat this, or whatever, those little voices are mine. Thank you very much.
Yes.
But your best chance at surviving well and living well is to listen here.
And one of the greatest gifts we can all have is to be comfortable in our own skin.
Oh dear, yes. My goodness, yes.
Yeah. So I would say one of the first exercises to do, when we talk about coming to make time or space for the self, A lot of people might think, oh, I'm going to go take a bath, or I'm making a really nice meal, or I'm going to go read a book. And those things are all great.
All lovely.
All great.
All of those things I do when I'm feeling discombobulated.
But there's a little, actually not a little something, there's a huge difference of learning to sit with the self in the body and create a space and keep coming back there. And what I have found is that if you can sit maybe even 10 minutes, close your eyes, make sure your feet are on the ground, set up a space within here.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sitting.
So if
my eyes are closed, and I'm going to set up a space within
imagine
there.
Either a beautiful place. Where would be your most favorite place to be? Would it be
In a chair
outside
at
or
the
inside?
edge of an ocean.
Okay.
With my feet in the water.
Yeah. So
But yours might be somewhere else, a forest or whatever, and yours might be as well. So your happy, safe spot. Okay. So we can all imagine that. So that's a place where we can go and does it help to have that as your safe spot?
Yes.
As long as it works for you, because it's much quicker to get back. You don't have to go.
You get to the feeling of it.
Safe
you
spot.
you just come to the feeling.
Okay, so
where
let's say
you're so
I have
present.
mine. Now what?
Okay, so I would spend some time there, and I remember you want to, when you sit with yourself, you don't want to bring your worries there. Every time a worry comes up, imagine putting it in a jar over there, okay? Because this space, if you realize that this space is just to sit there to get closer to yourself, that it's positive, and it's a place for positive.
I've also heard, like, I'm at the ocean right now, so there are clouds above, and I'll just put those worries up on a cloud and send it along, because there are different ways to do that as well. You could just throw it in your picnic basket, but imagine a lockbox that you travel with, put it in your wallet, your purse.
Yeah.
But probably best to find a receptacle for the worries, and when they float up in your consciousness, to place them away. Okay, so I'm doing that.
Yeah, just being aware that, oh, there they are.
There they are.
And as you slow down, you're going to every day connect more and more to that place of peace within the self, love. And the more we love ourselves, you might watch judgments come up.
Oh dear, you just threw that in like it would be easy.
Yeah.
How does that begin in a situation like this? So I'm here at the ocean, feet in the water, in my chair.
This is a second.
Watching my worries go by.
Yeah. And just feel into it. And every day, just come back there. You're going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're gonna know your inner voice.
Moving from your head into your body, especially your heart or your gut. But I think we should start with the heart, because that seems to be where research shows we are most powerful. So let's for now go to our heart and feel from there. Now describe how you would do that again.
So all I would do is just sit here, and like I said, I'd be in my beautiful space, and I might be, I'm enjoying the sun right now. It's all about bringing the positive in. Maybe there's beautiful tree that's growing by, or I may smell
Smells, yeah. As 3-dimensional as you can
right,
make it,
and
right?
Bring that
feels.
in. And what you're doing here is you're just you're making a deeper and deeper connection to that peace within yourself, so that when we need it in the outside world, we can keep coming back there. Okay.
So it's not very complicated. Just
not
feel
complicated at all.
Here rather than here. So the idea is to keep your mind as still as you can. When worries arise or you start thinking about your grocery list, just send it up on a...
And I wouldn't even try to keep the mind still, because you can't.
Okay, so describe it better then.
You can't keep... You are just compassionate.
Oh, to the thoughts.
To the thoughts.
Some people say, I understand you're worried about the grocery ego, but, send that away. I promise I'll get back to it. Or, oh my God, my mother's coming over. The ego says you got to straighten the house before she gets there. And you go like...
Yeah, and you just keep going below and below that. So we're going deeper and deeper and deeper and more solid in ourselves, That's what we're looking for, is
We
that
want
solidness.
our presence pulled down from our
Yeah.
ego and our overactive brains down into
Yeah.
the solid center of our bodies, which would explain the breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend a certain breathing style while I'm in my beach chair, for instance?
I don't, just because breathing is the most natural thing we can do.
Conscious breathing, especially, right?
Well, I don't think we even need to be conscious. I mean, it's just natural
Okay.
for us to. I wouldn't complicate it at this stage.
Good. So just go to your spot
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
try to keep your concentration on your heart.
Try to
put
go
your hand there
deeper
if you
and
need
deeper
to.
into peace, and keep coming back to what it feels to be there, what it feels like to be there. And that is the simplest place to start. Of course, there's so much more that's going to come up through that space, but we're not going to get into that today.
No, because we're hopefully going to bring you many more exercises that help you get into your own power portal, to help you tap into the frequencies of your energy so that you can enhance them and empower yourself further. The more empowered we all are, the more light we can bring to the world, right?
Yeah. And the first, I would say that just the first exercise is to create that space. You might want to invite earth in, water in, air in, spirit
energies,
in,
yes.
the four directions in.
Whatever makes you happy,
whatever
makes you feel safe.
Yeah.
So we also want you to stay tuned, because in the future we're going to be doing live Facebook streams where you can talk to Nancy specifically and ask her questions that she can counsel you over or through.
Give you a tool.
To work through your questions and your challenges. And I will point out from my experience, if I have anything to add, how to even further your own personal empowerment. So thank you for watching. Nance, it's always fun to talk with you.
Thank you.
We'll be back. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.